Thank you for joining us today at Homestead for Life. Today we are making applesauce. So as you can see, we've already gotten a head start here. We've got, I don't even know how many pounds of apples peeled and cored here, but I'm going to show you that process. And then we are going to jump right in. So the first thing we're going to do, after rinsing our apples, of course, is we are going to slice off the top because my handy dandy core peeler slicer thingy does not do a really great job on the top. Then we're going to check if there's any bad spots we don't like and cut them out. Okay, so then we're going to take our apple and we are going to squish it right there onto our steak on the KitchenAid apple core thingy. And then we turn it on. And the apple core does its magic. So now we've got our peeled, sliced, spiraled apples. We're just going to cut them in half from here and throw them in our bucket so we can cook them. Okay, so we are going to fill our pot up with our apples. Okay. Just kind of watching between the cracks here until we've got an inch of water. Yep. Okay, and we're going to put a lid on this and put it on high heat until it starts boiling. Once it boils, we'll turn it down a little bit and just let it simmer down until everything is about fork tender, really soft. Okay, our apples are boiling, so we're going to stir them up. And we're going to turn the heat down a little bit to medium-high instead of high. And we're going to stir them pretty regularly until they are all very soft. Not mush necessarily, but soft. So our applesauce has been boiling for about an hour. Once it got that fork tender, spoon tender, what I did is I took the lid off so some of the extra water could evaporate out. And we still have some extra water in there. So what we're going to do is kind of just strain some of it off carefully. We don't want to lose the applesauce. But the longer it sits without stirring, the more water you're going to see on the top. But that's how you would strain it out. And at this stage, we've turned the heat down. At this stage is where you would add any of your seasonings. So if you're going to add cinnamon or anything else, this is when you would do it and then let it simmer for a little bit longer. We are not adding anything else. We are just going to have unsweetened regular applesauce, plain old applesauce. So we've been mixing it as we go, so we don't need to blend it or anything else. It's all kind of fallen apart and it looks perfect like applesauce. So now we're going to can it. Our apples have all kind of cooked down. A lot of the water has evaporated off. They're all soft and goopy. If you left the skins on them, I would suggest hitting them with an immersion blender. Otherwise, just mix them up real good and they should all be, applesauce consistency. So I've got my hot jars and we are going to fill each jar to a 1/2 inch headspace. And then you can either water bath can these for, I believe it's 15 minutes, but I'll double check that. I'll put it in the notes. Or you can pressure can them. So we are going to pressure can them today. We've got all of our jars with 1/2 inch of headspace. We're going to clean the rims on all the jars so that our lids can seal properly. There's no debris. There's no applesauce, apple chunks, apple anything between the lid and the rim. I'm wiping up a bunch of applesauce because apparently I was a little too sloppy pouring it in here when I was getting that exact headspace. And our lids, of course, have been almost simmering for the last few minutes. So That'll sanitize them, but that'll also soften the seal around it so that it's going to have a nice tight seal for you when you can them. All right, got our lids in place. Our canner here has already been heated. The water in it is already hot. It's where I heated up my jars. I just put it on slow cook for a little while. Let the water heat up, let the jars heat up, so that I could put my hot applesauce into the jars without any issues. And the jars are still pretty hot, so we're going to use the grabbers. Just load up our canner. These are going to pressure can for 8 minutes. You can also water bath them for 15. I double checked the time. It is 15 minutes. But we're going to pressure can them for 8. So to do that, close it, close the lid, leave it on exhaust, and we are going to hit high and change our time to 8 minutes. And when it gets down around E1, E0, we're going to change this to airtight, and then our timer is going to start. All right, we're down to E0, so all we're going to do is flip this to airtight, and it's going to get to the right pressure, and then once it does, it's going to start our countdown. That was a fast 8 minutes, so now all we're going to do is unplug it and leave it for an hour. Okay, it's been cooling for a little bit more than an hour, so we are going to open this sucker up and see how we did. Oh, did you hear it pop? I heard one earlier too. All right, let's see how many we have still to go here. All right, looks like just 2 popped so far, so we'll let them cool. Oh, 3. 3 pops so far, so we'll let them sit out on the counter overnight, and hopefully by tomorrow morning they're all set. Thank you for joining us today at Homestead for Life.